Hello, welcome back to Pit Motoring. My name's Eddie and this is the KGM Torres. Now I know just exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking KGM who? Well, they are a new brand here in the UK, but it's one that you may remember, and that is SsangYong. SsangYong at the beginning of this year rebranded as KGM. And to mark themselves in the UK and European market, they have brought us a brand new model, and that model sits between the Corando and the 7-seat Rexton, and it is this, the Torres. Now this one is the ICE model. It's a 1.5 petrol, and there is an electric model which I'm excited to tell you I will have for a week when they collect this. So I'll be able to bring you what both of these cars are like. Now, without further ado, let's crack on with the review. So the Torres sits here in the UK car market in the mid to large SUV category, and it's up against some really strong rivals such as the Cougar from Ford, the Tucson from Hyundai and the Sportage from Kia. Starting prices are from £34,000. That is for the entry level K30. This K40 spec comes in at just over £38,000. Now I'm not sure if KGM can actually keep up with its rivals at this price point, but that's one thing we're going to find out. Now styling wise, KGM claim to have taken design cues from off-roaders from the past, and you can really tell with the design, and it looks really good, and it breathes a breath of fresh air into this segment in the car market. Now, as you'll see on the front, it looks very Jeep. The slats on the grille, there is 6 of them. Don't get it confused with Jeep though, they have 7. But it's just that, the square boxy front end. It's just strong and muscular off-road. These grooves in the bonnet just add to that off-roady feel. Full LED headlights with a daytime running light and running indicator that float around the headlight. The design on this grille, the chunky plastics at the bottom add to that off-roady feel. Now if you fancy playing a game, comment below how many times I say off-road or off-roady in this review, because that's going to be mentioned quite a lot. But yeah, the front end is very striking. We have these. You feel like you're out in the countryside, you do a bit of hunting. Slapping a deer carcass on the bonnet here, tying it down. No, they're not for that. It is just purely aesthetic. They are plastic, and I wouldn't really want to try and tie anything down, never mind a pair of shoelaces and a shoe tied to it. Now, following on to the side profile of the Torres, what really stands out is these alloy wheels. On this K40 trim, you get 20-inch alloy wheels. Yes, 20s. The K30 comes fitted with 18-inch alloy wheels, but adding to that off-road and off-roady design, we have chunky plastic cladding around the wheel arches, which is quite square. It looks slightly Discovery from the side with those plastic trims. We have nice wing mirrors with the LED that runs down the side for your indicators. The plastic cladding follows across along the doors, but you get this nice swooping groove in the side profile that just breaks it up and doesn't look like just an oblong slapped in front of you. Coming down to the rear quarter, we have this blade effect, what KGM call the blade, and it breaks up this colour contrast at the rear quarter here. Striking looking design, and I actually like it. Up here we have these roof rails, and these can carry a maximum of around 70 kilos, if I believe. Now, coming around to the rear, it's the same again, a nice off-roady design. Following on from the front end with the chunky silver contrasting cladding at the bottom there, give it that off-roady feel and design and look. These LED tail lights that flow around into the rear quarter panel. This, however, is a nice little homage tribute to the nationality of Korea. Now these are from, you'll notice them on the Korean flag. Pop it on the screen now. But it's just a nice little design touch, I think. Well done, KGM. but they're really nice looking lights. Spoiler up here with your top level brake light, Torres script across the tailgate. One thing that is apparent back here that also throws homage to off-roaders of yesteryear is this hump in the tailgate. Now KGM have gone for this to replicate obviously your spare wheel on the tailgate. It's a nice design, it looks nice, but it does impede the rear view a little bit. You do have this hump when you're trying to check out of the rear windscreen. You also put the handle on the side, and it'll give you the impression that the door will open sideways. Well, that's where it's a little bit confusing, because it doesn't. In fact, on the K40 spec, you actually do get this, and it opens this way. There's a little button in the handle, and it is an electric boot. There is also the option on the key that if you hold the button, it will open. So while we're here, let's take a look at what KGM claim is class leading in terms of space back here in the boot. So KGM claim this to be class leading, and I can actually believe them because it's massive. There is tons of space back here. It has 703 litres of space. Put the seats down and you have over 1600 litres of space. Now the rear seats don't fold fully flat, but it is still a nice level flooring space with the seats down, so that you can still get plenty of stuff in if you ever go to IKEA or for tip runs, or if you need to carry something large. Now with the seats back up, you still have a really usable practical space back here. There is 2 cuppies on either side in the wheel arches, and they're really nice and deep and really large. They have a couple of elasticated tethers on either side. On this passenger side down here, we do have a 12-volt socket. We have an LED light here. We have this retractable load cover, which you can also remove, but it is one of those where you have to store it in your garage, unfortunately. Elsewhere, nice flat level load lip, but underneath the floor we do have nice compartmented areas with obviously your tyre group, warning triangle and a little toolkit, but there's plenty of space there for your family paraphernalia, such as wellies, boots, things like that. If you have a dog, you can put your dog leads in there, you can put your poo bags, and you've always got a stock of them in the car. So let's jump in the back and we'll see if the practicality of the boot of the KGM Torres follows on into the cabin. Now I'm pleased to say that yes, the practicality from the boot does continue into the rear here for the passengers. Now got loads of room under the seat for putting my feet. This seat is in my driving position. I think I'm around 5'10", and obviously loads of knee room, plenty of headroom, so if you've got passengers that are over 6 foot in these outer seats, you know they're going to be very comfortable. Now getting into the centre seat, it does encroach into other passengers' feet space if you've got an adult here, and same if you're with the transmission tunnel, there is a bit of a lump, but still plenty of headroom. But other than that, it's very nice back here. In this K40 spec, we do have heated outer seats, and they're 2-stage heating. We have down here 2 USB-C charging ports for devices, a couple of nice little storage cubbies, which also have a little rubber base in them, stop things sliding around. One thing I don't like back here is very hard plastic right on the back, so if you are a really tall driver and you're carrying adults in the back here, obviously that might hurt your knees a little bit. You have a couple of mat pockets on the back. They're not a bad size, they're quite decent. We do have centre armrest, which is actually at a really nice comfortable height, and we do have 2 cup holders in the armrest there. Both outer seats have ISOFIX points for your children's car seat. They are just located just in between the base and the back of the seat, so it's relatively straightforward and easy to fit. Now one thing I do like is for children that are sensitive to the sun, such as if you've got a young baby, we do have these, but it's also handy, being a ginger like me, in the back to get away from that sunshine. Electric windows that do go all the way down, which is great for the kids so they can obviously see out the windows. Storage wise, the door bins are massive back here. There's space to get at least 2 bottles, decent sized bottles, and even storage for other items. In terms of materials back here, we do get some scratchy hard plastics on the doors, but relatively it is very nice. The seats, I find that the back of the rear bench sits quite high up and straight, a bit similar to that in a pickup. 40 we have the premium leather, whereas in the K30 you get 4 leather. Now it is nice and bright in here thanks to these windows. They are tinted, but still lets lots of light in. Let's hop in the front, check it out up there before we take it out for a drive. Now up front here in the Torres, you're greeted with a very modern minimalist interior that actually looks really nice. You have some nice materials used. Along the main touching points you do have soft materials, a bit hard and scratchy at the top of the doors there, but like on top of the dash here, it's nice and soft. You have this copper stitching that runs across the top of the dashboard, along the door card, and even in the seats. It's a nice contrast to colour in here. A nice copper effect trim across this panel here. Some nice carbon fibre-ish looking stuff that mimics, I think, the design of the front grille. That's really good. The fit and finish is nice. Everything seems well put together, like this floating centre console. Doesn't wobble. Really nice. In terms of practicality, it's very good. We have a little storage pocket down here, this little shelf underneath the centre console. We have a slot here for your mobile phone, which with the Torres having Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, not wireless though, which would be a really handy feature in this, you have this pocket here for your phone, and it has a little cutout in the bottom that you can run your cable. Handy for your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. We have 2 cup holders, which are decent for your takeaway coffees, or even a large bottle. Down in the door bins, they're massive. You can store lots in the door bins, and you have 2 sort of cup holders in there to fit a nice decent sized bottle or a takeaway coffee, and they're even in 2 positions. You have one that's facing straight up right at the front here, and then the one towards the rear and the middle of the door bin, it's angled towards you so it's easy to access. In terms of the materials, again, very nice. I found the armrest is a little bit hard. It's not much material there for comfort. Everything is really easy to access. Electric windows and your electric mirrors are on the door here, really easy to access. Steering wheel controls are good, but for my big sausage fingers, I have found that the little toggle switches are rather small, and sometimes I catch the opposite one. The steering wheel, again, a nice material. I like the design. You've got the copper stitching, perforated leather at the top, normal leather at the side, and it's a really nice D shape. It's very comfortable to use. Flappy paddles back here, with it being a 6-speed automatic. You can have manual choice through the flappy paddles. You have your wiper stalks and your headlight stalks back there, but everything else is controlled through the infotainment screen. Yes, the Torres is one of those. There is no physical buttons whatsoever. No volume dials for your stereo, no little touchy piano key or touchy buttons for shortcuts anywhere. Everything is through the infotainment. Like a brief look and a brief overview of it, it's quite simple to use. It's a decent size. We have 2 screens that mould together. We have a 12.3 inch infotainment screen and then a 12.3 inch for your driver display. There is a shortcut swipe from the side really close to you for your climate control, and with your hand on the top, I found, and using your thumb whilst you're driving, you don't have to look away too long from the road, even though that is one annoyance I really don't like, and it's nice to see some other manufacturers going back to physical controls. As for the seats, they're very comfortable. They have a nice soft material. I have found that the bases are quite flat, and after a long journey I ended up with a little bit of a numb bum. But thanks to this K40 trim spec though, I do have an 8-way electrical adjusted driver's seat. Now that offers lumbar support, so adjusting that right obviously makes it a lot more comfortable and getting your seating position right, so that you don't end up with an achy back. 6-way electric adjustment on the passenger seat. They're both 3-stage heated and 3-stage cooled seats, which is a really nice handy feature to have. So I think I've covered enough of that, apart from a really nice big deep storage cubby here underneath the armrest, and just here we do have a wireless charging pad, which is really good to see. But this is why I would like to see in the Torres here wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, because then you can have your phone on charging using the wireless charging pad, but you can also connect your device wirelessly, so you don't have a big ugly cable traipsing through. Height and reach adjustment on the steering wheel is very good. So the only thing left to cover in this review is taking it out on the road and see what it drives like. So throughout my week I have really put it through its paces. I've used it as my daily family driver. I mean, we have 5 kids, so I've only been able to take a certain amount out at a time, but I've got my youngest daughter's car seat. We've all been out, we've been shopping, we've been to the beach, we've done all sorts, and it has actually done whatever I've thrown at it. Now, in terms of comfort, these 20-inch wheels, some big bumps that you get in the road, you do feel them, but I think that could be down to obviously the large alloy wheels with very little rubber on the tyre wall. Other than that, it handles bumps rather well. It is a bit juddery and a bit unnerved at times, especially when you're at a bit of a higher speed. The steering is really light, so it's really easy to drive, and it's obviously, it turns heads. People look at it, it's different. It's not your bland looking SUV or crossover that you see everywhere at the minute, which is really, really good to see. Now, turning circle wise, for a big car, I'm really impressed with the turning circle. Obviously, manoeuvring in and out of car parks at the supermarket or in a town, turning round. We live on a really narrow street, so obviously turning it round, it's been super handy to have that really good turning circle. The powertrain in this though, it's a little bit 2020 if you ask me, and it's obviously my opinion. The Torres has the 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol turbocharged engine that's out of the likes of the Corando and the Tivoli. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a decent engine. I mean, it produces 163 PS or 160 brake horsepower, 280 newton meters of torque, so there's plenty enough there for towing. But the reason why I say it is 2020 is they've mated it to a 6-speed drive-by-wire, obviously with the toggle switches on the centre console here. The gearbox lets it down a lot. It's quite lazy and quite slow. It's a bit hesitant, especially when you're trying to pull out of junctions or from a complete stop to join a roundabout, say. But it's the economy and the emissions. The emissions is quite high, which means that you're paying a more premium in your road tax. The road tax for the Torres is £190 a year. Ouch! You know what I mean? As for economy, giving it a nice overall test, but the fuel economy hasn't been great. I mean, at the minute I'm averaging around 25 miles to the gallon. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you do a lot of dual carriageway commuting, say, that will go up. The high WLTP figure for the Torres is 33 to 35 to the gallon, so it's not too bad. But compared to the likes of its rivals such as the Cougar, especially in a hybrid powertrain, they're getting high 40s, mid 50s, even 60 miles to the gallon. I mean, in just running costs alone, if I had to make a decision, it would be that. But the good thing is, I think in 2025 KGM are bringing a hybrid powertrain to the Torres, So that will help it massively in reducing the emissions, reducing those road tax costs, and also improving the economy. With its big square boxy off-roady design, you have a nice view out the front. The way the seating is, you have a really nice high driving position. You get a good commanding view of the road, and obviously the square boxy front end, it's easy to manoeuvre, especially into parking spaces, because you know exactly where the ends of the car are. Plus that's also helped with the parking sensors that you get on the Torres in the K30 and K40, but also in this K40 you do get a reversing camera, which compared to some cars that I've tested, they have PlayStation 2, maybe even PS1 sort of graphics. The graphics on the reversing camera on the Torres is fantastic. It's crisp, it's clear, you get a good view behind. In terms of road noise, I think again, because you've got such big wheels and big tyres, you do get a lot of tyre noise. With the big chunky wing mirrors and those grab handles on the bonnet, even though they are aesthetic, they do add a little bit of extra wind noise. As for bumps, yeah, it's not too bad. The suspension cope's okay. I'm not going to say it's brilliant and perfect and the best ever. It rides comfortably, but a lot of big potholes, especially that we do get here in the UK, you do feel it through your bum a little bit when you hit them. In terms of handling, it corners okay. You push it a bit too far though, and you know that you're at its limit because it understeers, and you do get a little bit of body lean, but that's to be expected from a large SUV. Another good thing that the Torres has going for it, later on this summer here in the UK, we will be getting an all-wheel drive version. That does come at an extra premium though, and that's going to be around about £2,000, if not a little bit more. As for the pricing, well, the K30 comes in at 34,000, like I said, mentioned previously in the review, but this K40 is 38. Now, and to be honest, I think it's a very good choice. It's definitely one that you should put on your list to take out for a test drive, because what one might suit Billy might not suit Fred. It's gonna be very handy for somebody, especially with that load capacity, the class leading boot that KGM claim, and it looks different. These are all positives that it's got going for itself. Now, I want you to do me two things. First thing, pop a comment below and let me know what you think of the Torres. What do you think it looks? How do you like the styling? Would you consider a model from the new rebranded KGM? Second thing, if you like new and used car reviews and car content, please do subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like, share it with your friends and family or someone that you know it might help. Turn that notification bell on so that you're notified whenever I have a new video up. And for now, I'm going to enjoy my final drive in the Torres, and I shall see you next time. See you there.